What is up, everyone? It's your boy, a barrel of floating cum, and my co-host, bending over, ready to analyze, Berk! So today, we will analyze the new Gala Dragalia banner, featuring our very first Gala character, Sarisse. Now, this banner is kind of like the legendary hero banner of Fire Emblem Heroes. It features a high percentage, and well, it turns out that it's not quite like that, but we'll go over that in a bit. First thing we're going to be talking about is Sarisse herself. I believe that she's actually a really good character, but not exactly OP, kind of like our pal Ieyasu earlier, but she's a good character, a solid character. Now, the first thing you may notice about Sarisse is that she has two 100% resistances, a first of our kind right now. So this is actually something that kind of raised a bit of a red flag for me, because all of a sudden you have like guys with 100% in 2 resistances in 1 slot. This is a major power creep compared to like, well, normal heroes that only has 1. You can't even say it's not power creep, because that literally is the definition of one. You know, it's just comparing 1 and 2, and then you still have like 3 and 4 star characters, or just kind of like, or just 3 star characters who have to use 2 skill slots just to get 75% resistance. So Sarisse, I feel like, is a character that characterize a bad spot that's moving forward. I feel like it may be one of these characters where they want to make them as powerful as possible to sell. It's not a good sign, but we can talk about that later on. So what do you think about this dual resist business anyway, Berk? What do you think?
Well, I agree with what you said. It is power creep. I think for what we currently have, it's not a big deal, because most high-end raids, you just need, or not raids, high dragons, you need the 1 resistance, but you know, you can then use her for that plus an IO. That being said, you have 3-star units that can't even reach 100% in that element, so when you have a unit that comes out with 2 100%, it makes me kind of sad that there are units then that can't even get 100% in 1 single element. But this particular one isn't that concerning to me, because I feel like it's most relevant only in the highest tier, so highest tier of content. So. But it's not a good sign, though. I think in terms of the direction they're heading, it's not a good sign. But in terms of like the effect on the game,
immediately there isn't any. Yeah, there really isn't any. There is no content that currently requires you to be, well, you know, reduced susceptible to stun and sleep. But what if there is something that are like that down the line? Then we have some problems. That's what I'm worried about most when it comes to Gala Sarisse. But as a result, she's going to be a very powerful character for those kinds of content. But other characters, though, they're gonna run into some troubles. That's the problem with that thing. So why don't we go and move on to the skills real quick. So she comes with this brilliant bolt. Now we're gonna go over the highest percentage. At level 3, she shoots off one that does 949% damage, which is the basic standards of all the first skills. Now, in addition to that, she fires extra shots of 95% with depending on number of buffs that she gets. So we're looking at something that, let's see, it goes up to like 7. So 95, like, okay, so it's like, we'll just call it 700%. So it's almost like, 160, and maybe a little less, like 155. No, 1,550%. So it's kind of like a much buffer like for skill compared to the other ones, but it does come with a bit of a condition. And when it comes to buffs, they do wear off, so maintaining 7 is pretty tough. Now the SP cost is 2,800. It's not quite as powerful as Ieyasu's 2,400 and bleed on top of this. Of course, bleed has only an 80% chance, but still, it's 80% chance. It's a good chance. And then you have something that ends up having the power of 2 skills. This, you have to kind of build up to to the whole 1.5, like 1.5 of a skill. You know what I mean? Like 150% of a skill. So, a skill and a half. I should have just said that in the beginning. Oh my god, brain damage. So, it takes up a little bit of building. So, I feel like, because of this requirement, I don't think she's like a super character or anything like that. I think she's a good character, but I feel like with this build-up, she's not super overpowered. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. What do you think? You're the one who wants to summon Sarisse for all this time. What do you think about this ability? On your thoughts?
Well, I wanted to summon her when I thought my rate was higher, but I'll get into that.
We'll go over that in a bit.
That's a separate topic. I think it's a bit stronger than what you just said, but I don't think you're that far off. I think the Brilliant Bolt is a bit better because, first of all, her weapon, if you 5-star her weapon, Elemental, it has a built-in buff. So that's already an additional source. If you build your team composition to have multiple buffs, this could easily hit multiple. If you're just talking about herself, it's probably just 1 or 2. So let's say 1.5, whatever. It's somewhere in between 1 and 2 each time extra. You're never going to hit 7 additional shots. That's not really going to happen.
Yeah.
But you know, let's say it's like 1.5 or 2 or something, or if you even want to be generous, 3. Fine. But the fact that her weapon adds an additional 1, and you could build her team to maybe make it to say, let's say it's more like 3 consistently. That would be like, I think, on a high end. If you always have 3 buffs up, that's like very high. Yeah, it'll do better damage. That's not insane. It's not going to do, absurd damage, but the damage on this, if you have 3 buffs up, is probably higher than most units. So,
oh yeah, definitely. It's about 25%.
It's good when you build around her. Is she broken or anything though? No. I think she's going to be a very good unit, but it just feels like an ordinary, this is a strong unit type of thing. Her first skill's good. It has potential to go to crazy limits, but the way to get there is not very easy. So.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, the problem with what you've just presented is that she only has 1 offensive skill. Her second skill is a buff, which supports the skill, and then you have the 5-star weapon, which is also a buff that supports the skill. Now, I have no problem with this, because the skill is strong. But the problem itself is that the skill, you only have 1 skill. Even with skill haste, you're looking at SP cost of maybe like 2,400 or something like that. You still need to take a little bit of build up. Now, and also, you mentioned that you can only build up to like stacks of 3 to 4 or something like that. While that does put you ahead of the curve when it comes to powerful skill 1s, about like, you do about like 1,200%, something like that with 3 buffs. You will be ahead of the other skills, but the problem is it's still just 1 skill. It's only like a 25% damage increase, so you can't quite use it to like match up with someone else who has 2 or 3 skills. That's one of the problems, or no, I wouldn't call it a problem, but it's one of the things that make Ieyasu much stronger than like a lot of other characters, because he has a skill 1 that potentially does like twice the damage of a normal skill. Potentially, with if you make %. And then you have, oh, by the way, bleed stacks, so it does even more damage after a little bit. Like, it stacks like 50% into twice the damage of the bleed already, so it stacks up to a lot of DPS. So that 1 skill already is very strong. And then you also have a really powerful weapon on top of a really powerful weapon skill. So I feel like Sarisse, while powerful, that 25% extra damage from having 3 buffs, and even with 7, you're looking at like 50% more damage than a regular skill. So I feel I feel like this is a good skill, but it's not enough to make Sarisse to be a really powerful character. I feel like she's good, just not absolutely amazing. Well, as a DPS, but as a buffer, though. She does have some potential.
One caveat I'd like to point out is, and I think this is not going to be correct, but until we, well, I guess it's out so people can confirm or deny this, but if Sylva's strength, which we didn't even talk about that yet, but we'll get to soon, but if her passive that adds strength and crit counts as a separate thing, she could potentially buff strength and crit and defense and other things and actually have a reasonable chance to hit 3 or 4 separate buffs.
That does make sense.
Now, but again, this is speculation. This is not like I think this is true. It really depends on how this works, and even then, it's still not reliable. But I think if that's the case, where they handle these things separately, a strength buff, a crit buff, a defense buff, a HP buff, or whatever, if they're all handled like that, you could probably form a situation where she can hit 4 to 5 regularly. But that's, again, a specific team. I think on a general team where she's running by herself, again, you've got herself running strength buff, the crit buff, and sometimes the defense when it changes on her second skill, and the weapon. So she'll hit 1 or 2 or something. And
you've got a good point there, yeah. Because, alright, so I do have Dragon Yule Cleo, and when I end up using her, some of her skills that for her passives do get applied as a buff. That's the same thing with Lucretia as well. When she gets her passive, which from maximizing her energy or whatever, she gets an attack buff that appears. So what you're saying is probably true. I mean, we're still kind of speculating, but Sylvan's strength seems like it will indeed pop up in the bottom and will increase her power even further. But even then, it's like I said, it's still one skill. If she has another attack skill, I think that would make her much stronger. But yeah, I think she's a victim to her weapon, to be perfectly honest with you. If she has a damaging weapon, I think it would help her a lot.
The weapon for her is I think crit 10 seconds crit, I think.
I mean, that's not bad, but compared to like a whole skill, I feel like it's much weaker.
It is. At least though she does have, and this is getting into more of her skills, she has buff time 30%. So anything that gives her buffs is better on her than almost any other unit other than, I think, Aileen. Someone else has buff time increase. But
Ellie.
She wants buffs. And if you give her buffs, they're going to be good and then last longer than they normally would.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you work really well with someone like Sinoa, who puts out some really powerful buffs, and then you add 30% on top of that. Actually, no. How does that work exactly? It just increases duration of skills you use, or just any buffs that applies onto you? Any buffs that applies on you, right? I feel like that's how it works. Or is it just the buffs that you use?
Are you talking about
buff time, the ability?
The buff time will increase the duration of buff skill. Wait, on her. That's a good point. I think it's gonna be on Sarisse herself, because it says it just increased duration of buff skills by 30%.
Yeah,
I think Aileen, someone else has it.
Aileen and Ellie has it. They share it all together at 25%. Although she gets up to 30% with 5-star, but yeah.
Yeah, and so when you have 15 seconds, I mean, it's a decent amount being close to 3 seconds. I mean, but it's all.
Well, what I'm concerned about is if that ability is something where you receiving a buff, then it'll be 30% higher, or is it just buffs that you create will just generally be 30% more? I feel like it's just any buffs that you receive, though. I kind of speculate.
I think so. I think someone gives you a buff, and she has something that's 5 buff, it's 30% longer. I think that's what it is.
Well, regardless, though, I still feel that she needs a weapon that does damage over having more buffs. Though, I will not say that it's bad, because that thing is like 25% extra crit. So, I mean, you stack all that together, you're looking at a lot a lot of crit with her Brilliant Bolt, because those Brilliant Bolts does fire additional shots, so each of those have extra chances to crit, so you're looking at some really brilliant numbers. It is a very good skill. It's just really unfortunate that she only has one attack skill for the woman. Alright,
Sure.
why don't we move on to the second ability then, which is the Cheerful Assist. Now, the Cheerful Assist increases the entire team's strength by 20% first. It does that first. Now, used again, the skill will increase instead the entire team's defense by 20% for 15 seconds. Then after that, the skill will revert to its initial effects. So basically, you're swapping between strength and defense, but you start with strength first. 20% is no laughing matter. But the problem is that after that, well, then you're sitting at like a whole thing where you have to use defense, and then you can finally go back to using offense. And the skill cost itself is 8,534. So this is actually, in my opinion, worse than Sinoa's thing. At least with Sinoa's thing, you can hope for getting a better luck at that. And she also has a much lower SP cost for her buff. But this one is 8,500. It takes a while to charge up. Even with skill haste, it takes a while to charge up.
Yeah, this skill is so much worse. I think most players that are competitive have realized that we run normal maps and you're like, dude, HP buff, that sucks. Defense buff, dude, that's garbage. Actually, no. Defense buff for high-end dragons is insane.
It depends on the situation, though.
Go ahead.
It depends on the situation, though. That's what I'm trying to insert.
Have you seen the videos of like retards that are sucky as hell with 20% defense at HP that can live with like 1.8k HP because they have some dumb pack?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I said, it depends on the situation. Like, say, you want to ideally activate a defense buff right before a strong hit. But if, say, you're holding onto your defense buff because you're waiting for that strong hit, you're wasting SP. So, if you want to be good with your DPS, naturally you want to dump that defense buff as quickly as possible. So you have to use it. So it may not fulfill its proper use, in which is to block a strong hit. That is a problem, because, well, you have to wait 8,500 in SP cost to wait for another one for it to go back to strength 20%. And it's only for 10 seconds. It's not for a very long time either. So you may end up losing DPS depending on other situations, like getting stunned, or boss mechanics, they flying up in the air, you can't hit them, that's DPS loss. So Cheerful Assist is something that's a little awkward to use because of the fact that you have, if you want to use it buffs properly, you sometimes have to hold on to them, and when you have to swap between one and another, it makes the opportunity to use the proper buff at the right time much harder. That's the main problem I find with Sarisse, that bumps her down from being really good to kind of being good. I don't know.
Completely agreed. I was about to make a different point on defense buffs, but I don't think it's as relevant because especially, look, actually, to be honest, if this had defense first, in a way, that could be better, because anyone that's run the high dragons has seen how when you have a certain amount of defense, you can tank certain abilities.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
If she had right away of like 8,000 SP is a lot. So for her to have to charge it to get the 8k to hit the strength, then go back to 8k to get the defense to pop it, no, that sucks. If she could pop this to help her team support to live through something, that's a bigger story. I honestly think people don't value defense, well, not everyone, because anyone that's run the high dragons understands now that defense is good, but defense buffs are way better than people have thought they were. So this ability on paper is going to read good, but you have to realize the timing on them is the critical thing. The reason why someone like a Hild or a Lily or anyone with skill prep that can run stupid lower weapons that have defense buffs,
that's exactly the problem. I mean, I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, I agree with you. But she needs skill prep to properly use it and to swap it to defense first. Then Cheerful Assist will get more points for me. But she doesn't have skill prep. She has buff time. So buff time is good, but skill prep would be so much better, especially if you swap the defense thing, because now you have something that it's kind of like bringing a Vanessa along, except, well, also puts out quite a bit of DPS. See, that would be really nice, but, well, you know, that's the whole problem with timing. You have to build up that 8,500 first before you can even do the whole defense thing, or the attack, the strength thing, and then the defense thing. When you have to do something like that, it's very, very hard to make the right timing. That's why, you know, Cheerful Assist is really not all that great. I feel like she's not that great of a character. She's good, just not super good.
Yeah. And that leads into the last point I think we should make, which is
Sylvan's strength.
Well, we did kind of talk. Yeah, we'll go into it a little more. So it's 2% strength and 1% crit for 15 seconds. It's a 15-second buff for 20 hits. Now, there's a question of whether it expires. So let's say I hit a second one in the 15-second window, so I have 2. Will the first one expire off after its exact 15-second duration when I started it? Or will it continue to stack forward and forward and forward? And I think everybody would agree, if you can continue to stack this over and over, and so you get your first stack, you're at 5 seconds, you get the second one to trigger, it resets to 15 seconds every time. This ability is insane, and that will probably change.
Well, I wouldn't say that either, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, I mean,
it'll be good, but it wouldn't be insane.
It doesn't take too long, though, to get to a point where this is going to start to outclass units. Once you hit 5, you're probably already matching everybody, and then after that, it's just
though it's still a 100-hit combo. If you were to dodge mechanics or something like that, you may end up missing that combo. That's one of the problems that I have with combos abilities like that, because if you have to dodge something, or the enemy has like some kind of crazy mechanics, they fly up in the air and you have to wait for them to come down, then you end up losing not just initial DPS, but you also have to wait for you to build up. So other characters, such as Maribel, especially Maribel, by the way, with her stupid, like, 30% extra skill damage right off the bat, they can unload very, very high chunk of damage right off the bat. For Sarisse, she needs to build up. And we also have just talked about this just now. We're not sure if it's something that refreshes itself. Now, those of you who have done, and that's most of you, who have done the New Year's event with the Shishimai, you know that Kadomatsu, they come down from the sky and you break them and they give you a strength buff, right? Well, the problem is that after a little bit, they start dissipating, they start wearing out. So you start seeing yourself at like 3 strength buff, 4, 5, and then all of a sudden it goes back to 4, and then it goes back to 3. These kinds of things happen, so I feel like they're calculated separately. These buffs are calculated separately, but then again, if that's the case, that makes this ability really, really, really weak. But it's also very possible. But it's also very possible. Still, I mean, 20-hit combo isn't like super hard to make. She does multiples of shots whenever she attacks, especially with Brilliant Bolt that shoots out additional shots. And then you have Bow itself that shoots out a whole bunch of shots. So hitting 28 combo isn't too hard. It's just that it still takes a bit of time to build up. And
definitely.
Yeah. And if you have to also watch out for the fact that they wear out, it's not a very good skill. I'm hoping that it does stack though, because then it would make it a little more competitive. But if it doesn't stack, Sylvan's strength is absolutely garbage.
Yeah, if it doesn't stack, this skill is complete garbage. If it does, then I think it's never going to be completely broken, because it's very hard to imagine you getting to like insane stacks. But imagining getting to 3, 4, 5 stacks, that's not crazy. But
no, you have to go beyond that, because
you have potential to reach 20 stacks or something where you get something insane. That's not going to happen. I mean, maybe someone will get that and then screenshot and you're doing some ridiculous shit, and I would love that. If someone gets some 20 stacks in this thing, yeah, I want to see it, but that's not going to happen that often.
No, but especially with Brunhilde. Brunhilde just flies. Well, we're not fighting Brunhilde with this thing, but you know what I mean. Just kind of flies away and takes 10 years to come down. Oh, of course, there's a Gale phase in High Midgard. You can't do DPS then. You have to move away from the Gales. Oh, of course, there's also the common purple chaser techniques, which you have to get away from everyone. There's that as well. Of course, you can calculate in a way to keep shooting while this is going on, but you're still gonna get hit. And when you get hit, you have to go and right afterwards you have to like do something. First you have to gather, and then you have to do separate. But sometimes it's the reverse. So when it's the reverse, you don't get to do DPS. So there's a lot of ways that you don't actually get to build up Sylvan's strength, and it's just I don't like combo techniques in general for that reason. It like when you're comparing to Dragon Yule Cleo, who gets 13% strength just like that for maintaining a high 70% health, which is very easy to do. This Sylvan's strength just I don't know, it just disappoints me so much. It just makes Charisse just kind of like.
Yeah, I kind of agree, man.
So, I mean, like, hearing this, would you still summon her? I mean, she's got great side boobs, but...
Well, I mean, I like her from sword perspective.
Huh.
So, I want her... I hate Luca. I want her to punch me in the face all day. I want her in my barracks to do that. Die painfully. But I don't know now, because I skipped 16k Wyrmite. Or not Wyrmite, 16k Adamantium on the last banner, thinking I was going to go here. But that was under the assumption that there would be some kind of improved rate, since they said it was 6%.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like the legendary banners, though. Legendary banners advertise 8%, but we all know that it's not actually 8%. Once it's shared between, like, all the other heroes that are... You have to share it between the colors, and then to share between the 4 and 3 stars and all those things. The chances
but
just...
But isn't that information disclosed to you up front?
That's the problem. Fire Emblem Heroes doesn't.
Neither
did they. Neither did they, for all that matters. They neither have shown it up front until, well, at least this game shows it after the advertisement. When it was advertised, though, they didn't show, like, they just say 6%. So they kind of build up hype, makes you feel good, changes your plan. I'm sorry, I try to tell you. Are you sure about you not spending for Mario? You're like, oh, you know, I like Charisse. Well, you know, when we finally discovered that, of course, I'm still thankful, though, that they actually announced the rates. Because can you imagine, like, actually spending on the banner, and you find yourself swimming in Wyrmprints and no Charisse? And only after, like, community, like, reports that you discover that her rate is actually 0.5% among the 6%, that would feel like shit. So I'm really glad at the very least they announced that before you on the day that you summon, before you summon.
Obligated to do that.
I'm thankful for that one little bit. I mean, there's at least that. But yeah. I really think that the idea of advertising as 6% like that is really scummy. It's so scummy. Honestly, they shouldn't have done that. They should have just, you know... If this was a normal banner, you know, fine. You know, I wouldn't mind. But there are people who, like you, who make plans before they summon. So I don't have any plans to summon her, period, because look, High Midgard is currently on farm. So Charisse, being a fire unit, automatically already removes her from my equation. And it's not like you really need her for that. Pretty much anyone can take care of High Midgard if they have enough gears, so that's not an issue. But, you know, for guys like you who actually like the character or something like that and may change their plans, this is really bad, because when you see 6%, you're thinking, oh, maybe, you know, her rate would be like 1% at the very least, you know, it would be increased for a little bit. But no, it didn't. They didn't. Instead, everything else gets increased. Normal adventurers on that banner is 1%. Dragons, 1.5%. But the kicker is the Wyrmprint is 3%. So among all that 6%, all of it, half of it is already gone to the Wyrmprints. The dragons is good, but the problem with dragons and adventurers is that you're often likely than not, you summon like dupe or summon something that you don't want. It happens a lot. So the character that you really want honestly has the same rate as before, but the problem with this banner is that because it's 6%, you end up summoning more garbage to pity rate you before you can actually summon the character you want. So this banner is really, really bad. And Sarisse, I feel, isn't that great a character to sacrifice so much of your resources for it. But if it was a normal banner, I guess you would have gone ham on this then? Even despite what we just said about her being not all that great?
Everything you said is right, but I don't think you hit on the main point here, which is that they came in and said 6%. Let me find. I have a screenshot of what they said. They said the initial appearance rate for 5-star adventurers, dragons, and Wyrmprints will be increased to 6%, up from the standard 4%, with an exclamation mark.
Well, yeah, but
okay,
they were being vague.
No one should assume anything from that.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be a dumbass. You can't. but look, it's 4% to 6%. Anyone that's super skeptical, they're super assholes. I don't care, whatever. Then yeah, they would have been like, okay, the extra 2% is only going to go into everything I don't care about. That's fine. But then they came along and showed us the percents, which are, yes, the 6% 5-star, but it's 0.5% adventurer featured, which is what you normally have. But again, normally banners have a dragon or a Wyrmprint on Focus 2, something else. No, this banner only has an adventurer as a focus. The only focus thing is the one adventurer at 0.5%.
Yeah, seriously.
So
it's just
your
like what
focus
I said,
percent is 0.5%.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
want to
covered that
argue
point,
like,
though.
okay, Wyrmprints suck. Dragons, okay, no one's gonna say dragons suck, but let's say you think dragons suck. No. This is a 0.5% focus banner with a 5.5%.
I apologize for cutting in, but that is exactly what I just said, though. I even listed the percentages. I'm telling you, like, you get all kinds of garbage from this, and you have a 0.5%. We covered this already. I mean, I completely share your sentiments on it, but we shouldn't repeat the same thing again, you know what I mean? But I mean, look, Wyrmprints is what you're going to end up getting. 3%, it's very, very bad. You're going to end up getting pity broken by LUCA'S prank. You're getting LUCA'S prank while you're summoning for Sarisse. Can you imagine the pain? That's so screwed up, man. Getting LUCA'S prank while you're summoning for Sarisse is like the worst that could possibly happen. I don't think you should summon on this banner at all. I know I can understand your feelings, but I would not summon on this banner at all. I would just stay away. It's very, very bad. Now these Gala banners do come back every 2 months, by the way. They do.
Well, I don't understand what the incentive is to summon on them.
It's not. It's stupid. It is a dumb decision. It is a dumb decision on their part. I don't know why. Because look, you end up getting dupes of adventures and dragons. This banner feels counterintuitive, because if that is the case, then you naturally would want to save your Dymaniums, Wormites on every time a new banner comes out, except for limited ones, and just do banners like these to try to score these guys instead of the regular banners, because then you run less of a chance to get dupes and stuff like that. But I feel that's kind of counterintuitive, because then you kind of want to, you know, I guess it does make it kind of hard to target a specific unit, but in this way, when you set up a banner in this way, it makes you feel kind of worried about getting characters, because then if I do really want to summon on a Gaia banner like this, I could get dupes. At the very least, you know, I want to get a character that is new and make me feel not so bad that I didn't hit the 0.5% to summon Sarisse.
And you just nailed it, because that's a good point for this one. But think about 2, 3, 4 of these in the
Oh,
future.
exactly. I was going to get to that, because they're going to include more of these Gala units.
Time. The rate you get dupes is going to increase every single time. If the 5.5% is off Focus Adventurers and Dragons and Wyrmprints every time, that is going to continue to increase. That you get, for Adventurers, it's Eld Water. For Dragons, you can send them home for Eld Water. For Wyrmprints, you can maybe merge them or Eld Water. It's just not. It's going to continue to get worse every single time. So this is a bad precedent for me.
Yeah. So this, if you really want Sarisse, I guess this would be the best and possibly the last chance you can, because from what I understand, in Grand Blue they feature other of these Gala units in the same banner. So in 2 months you could end up with Sarisse and like someone else, say Ronzo or Ellie or Cleo on the same banner or something like that, sharing that 0.5. Well, would they share 0.5? It's just an assumption.
It's hard to say.
If they do, it's going to be really
your point's accurate. I feel like the longer this goes on, the worse these get. I want to try to get the unit now and then never summon on these again. That is my current plan, because I don't trust the rates on this ever again now. So I feel betrayed by this. I don't. They advertised a 6% rate as if it was going to be a major boon, 6%, but it's not. It's the same rate you were going to get with other crap. So you can argue, yes, it's actually not worse than a normal banner, because it's...
Oh, I think it's worse than a normal banner, period, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting dupes are horrible. I don't want Lucas Prank. Get out of here.
What if you want both the Adventurer and the Dragon? That's 0.5% on Adventurer, 0.5% on a Dragon. In fact, that makes this banner objectively worse than a normal banner.
Exactly, yeah. But
So yeah, this is almost false advertising to me, because they came out and made this seem like it was 6%. It's gonna be great, and then we didn't get a ticket like normal, which we normally have gotten a ticket on almost every single banner we've seen, and then hid the rates until banner came out. And I don't want to sound like I'm being like skeptical. They've been so positive and good with changes in this game, which is why this struck me so hard, because I didn't see this coming. They've been so good with these things, and all of a sudden now I see the 6%. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this decision. I'm gonna save, and then now it's like, what is this shit?
0.5%. It's so dingy. You see like all these massive percentages, and you see 0.5 on this. I'm just like,
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
yeah, exactly. So it's just a terrible situation all around. But yeah, I mean, I guess they really don't want to go away from their standards for focus units being 0.5%. Maybe later they might change things. It could be, because Grand Blue, from what I understand, do have surprise tickets and such. But this game is still a little early, and it's, I wouldn't say
Like
infancy.
3 months old? No,
but
not 3 months. 4 months old? 5 months
yeah,
old?
I wouldn't say it's infancy, but it is still kind of new. So later in Grand Blue, they do offer these things where you can use a surprise ticket to get the unit that you want. Now this could eventually come, but it's still going to cost you a lot of money. So I think that ultimately, if you're going to do something in this game, if you want a favorites, you either get it now or you have to wait. You have to save up a lot of stuff and wait. Because right now, I don't think 16k is enough for you. It took me how much to get an Ieyasu? It was already pretty bad. So I seriously don't think that is enough for you. Right?
30k maybe?
Maybe 30k, yeah, maybe. So I feel like in this game, you should really just aim to get like every element or every like element attackers or DPS or healers and dragons and all that fun stuff, and just sit on that Wyrmite that you gain each each month and win, get all those tickets, get all those diamaniums that you get monthly if you're still willing to buy those packs, and just sit on them for the character that you want. You cannot go and try to aim to get a 0.5% adventure all the time. It's not sustainable. It's bad. Really bad. So you have to think about like this coming forward, because after seeing this banner, I'm positive that 0.5% is gonna be like this at least for the rest of this year. So I feel like you should really start saving the things. But I mean, like, I did ask you this question before, but if not for all these things, would you still have summoned for Sarisse? Because I want to know your thoughts on Sarisse as a gameplay perspective. Forget about the rates and all that. If after what we just talked about, Sarisse being like, kind of mediocre to good, you think you'd still summon for her, right? Just because, she's a story character?
I'll give you a couple perspectives. From a gameplay only perspective, no, I would not be summoning for her. She's great, but the dual resistance is fine. This is from the whale perspective, but I have every single fire unit in the game, so I don't need her, but I like her as a character. From a story I do.
You have to sneak that one in. I like that.
If I had to pick like 1 or 2 or 3 story characters that I really wanted to have, because I don't feel that attached to, like, I feel like this game is very good with like the individual stories of the characters and some of the weird things. Yeah, those are fun. I mean, they do a very good job with story, unlike Fire Emblem Heroes. Like I do enjoy reading those things. But I'm not going to pretend there's some great lore behind this game like Fire Emblem where you have games. But if I had to pick 2 or 3 characters, whereas like from the story of this game, I like them, this is one of them. This is one of the only ones I actually cared about. So
I see.
for that reason alone, I wanted her. Now, again, from gameplay perspective only, no. I don't think I would go for her because I have everyone else.
Yeah,
but I want her to punch Luca in the face because I hate Luca. So,
like I said again, can you imagine pulling Luca's prank instead for that? Oh my god, you'd kill yourself. You just hang yourself right there.
But I don't know what I'm gonna do in terms of actually. Actually ask me if I'm going to summon. That's actually harder than what you asked me because I don't know anymore. My plan was absolutely yes. I'm going in. Can have 16k diamantium, and then possibly more if I felt like it to go. But I don't know if I want to do that now with the 0.5%. I was expecting something higher. If it were 1%, I'd just go whale and get it.
Oh, you'll definitely whail all over it. But yeah, you'll have a much harder time now. But 0.5% is still the standard. It's just that you're gonna likely get pity broken. That's the main problem. You're gonna get pity broken. I don't recommend it unless you have 30k to go in. But if you really want a character, I think you have to at least get that much to get started. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting heartbreaks after heartbreaks. Like, even for Ieyasu took me like 30, 50... Like 30, 40, 10 pulls. So that's like 400 pulls right there. That was not a good sign. It cost me like $400 something. So you have to see if you can't get 30k without spending pure diamanium. That is my suggestion to you. If you can get that, maybe you can try it, because this will be your last chance to do it. If they do introduce new Gala characters and she's not the one on focus, it could be one of these things where she might you only have a much lower chance to get her. Or they share the percentage of a Gala hero, which would be terrible, by the way.
Hey, Fire Emblem, if this is someone you want, this is your character. Sarisse is hot, whatever. Go summon, get her. There's no argument against that. But if you're only looking at gameplay perspective, again, she's good. She's not gonna be bad. I'm not gonna say don't summon. She's gonna be strong. She's got dual resistance, gonna be good. But if you have a better fire unit, or not even better, if you have a good fire unit you can run, then don't waste your time summoning. If you don't, and you're trying to run HMS, and you're like, I don't have a Vanessa, I don't have a Mikoto, I don't have a Sanoa, I don't have any of these.
If you're
then
homeless, in other words, if you're a new player, you're homeless. Yeah, then try it.
Whether you should summon is based on your own perspective, and this is just. Don't treat this like some kind of special, legendary, awesome, whatever. This is just another good fire unit. If you need a fire unit and you don't have one that can run HMS, go get it. If you have one that can run it, and you don't care about her, then don't summon. That is all that I can sum it up with.
Yep. Well, I hope that you can make your decision on the matter soon, because Sarisse does have great side boobs. I like her original character art, to be perfectly honest with you. The new art does not sing well with me, but the old one with the side boobs, oh my god, I love that art so much. I love side boobs.
I also was hoping that her first skill was going to just straight up be a punch. Like,
yeah, Falcon Punch!
Fucking Luca Punch and Luca Dead.
Luca Punch! But I can't get enough of those side boobs of the original art. Oh my god! Oh, dude, the side boob's so good. Anyway, I think we should probably end it with that. Otherwise, we're just going to end up repeating ourselves. So we're just going to go with that. Alright? I hope you can make your decision. Good. And, you know, it will no longer be a headache for you. Because I feel really bad for you right now. It's just, you know, there's nothing we can do about it at this point. I hope you can do it. Anyway, so we'll end it with that. And her side boobs is great for original art. I'm not going to stop with that. I thank you all for watching. Until next time. I'm serious, her side boobs are great.
I was about to say her side boobs are great, yeah.